there is a particular kind of travel that belongs entirely to the train, not the efficiency of the airplane, which lifts you out of the world between one city and another and delivers you somewhere new with no sense of the distance traveled, not the intimacy of the car, which keeps you enclosed in your own small bubble as the landscape moves past. The train sits between these two things, fast enough to cover real distances, slow enough to let the world in. You sit at a large window, and the world comes to you. Mountains, valleys, coastlines, cities, countryside, all of it passing at a speed that allows you to actually see it, to register it, to feel the distance between where you were and where you are going. Today, we are going to take you on the most breathtaking train journeys in the world. The routes that exist not merely to move you from one place to another, but to show you something extraordinary along the way. Let's begin in Switzerland, because Switzerland contains what many experienced train travelers consider to be the single most beautiful stretch of railway in the world, the Glacier Express. The Glacier Express runs for approximately 8 hours between two of Switzerland's most celebrated mountain resort towns, connecting the car-free village of Zermatt, in the shadow of the Matterhorn, with the resort of St. Moritz in the Engadin Valley. In those 8 hours, it crosses 91 bridges, passes through 91 tunnels, and climbs to the Oberalp Pass at an elevation of over 6,800 feet, one of the highest points on the European rail network. The route passes through landscapes of such consistent and overwhelming beauty that the journey itself has become the destination for most of the people who ride it. Fewer people take the Glacier Express to get somewhere than to experience the act of traveling through one of the most extraordinary mountain landscapes on Earth. The train's specially designed panoramic windows, which extend upward into the roof of the carriage, allow passengers to see not just the landscape at eye level, but the peaks rising above the train on either side. In summer, those peaks are a combination of bare granite and permanent snowfields, with meadows of extraordinary green in the valleys below. In winter, the entire landscape turns white, and the train moves through a world of extraordinary, luminous silence broken only by the occasional passage through a tunnel. The Glacier Express also offers one of the most endearingly civilized travel experiences available anywhere, a full dining service, served at your seat as the Alps pass by outside, that makes the 8-hour journey feel like something to savor rather than endure. From Switzerland, let's travel to South America, to a train journey that operates in one of the most extreme and most extraordinary environments on any railway in the world. The Andean Explorer in Peru. Peru's rail network includes several extraordinary routes through the Andes, and among them, the journey between Cusco and Puno, crossing the altiplano, the high plateau that sits between the peaks of the Andes at elevations of over 12,000 feet, is one of the most dramatic and most visually extraordinary train journeys available anywhere on Earth. The train climbs steadily from Cusco, passing through the sacred valley of the Inca, with its extraordinary terrace landscapes and ancient ruins visible from the carriage windows, before ascending to the altiplano proper, a vast, open, largely treeless plateau where the light is extraordinary. The sky is a shade of blue, found nowhere at lower elevations, and the occasional lakes on the plateau surface reflect the sky with a mirror-like intensity that is genuinely stunning. The altiplano is a landscape unlike almost anything in the travel world. It sits at an elevation where altitude is a genuine physiological consideration for visitors arriving from lower elevations, and the experience of sitting in a train carriage, looking out at a landscape this high and this open, produces a particular quality of wonder that is specific to this altitude and this part of the world. The journey ends at Puno on the shores of Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, sitting at over 12,500 feet, where the deep blue of the lake under an altiplano sky creates one of the most extraordinary visual arrivals available on any train journey in the world. Now let's travel to Norway, to a railway journey that captures the drama of the Norwegian landscape in a way that no road or flight could replicate. The Bergen Line. The Bergen Line runs for approximately 7 hours between the capital Oslo and the city of Bergen on the western coast, crossing the Hardangervidda, Europe's largest mountain plateau, at its highest point, and descending through the extraordinary fjord country of western Norway to the coast. The highest section of the route reaches nearly 4,300 feet, making it the highest railway in northern Europe, and for the hour or more spent crossing the plateau, the train moves through a landscape of extraordinary stark beauty, the ground rolling and largely treeless in every direction, with frozen lakes visible in winter and wildflower meadows in summer. The descent from the plateau toward Bergen is one of the most dramatic sections of railway in Europe. The Flam Railway, a branch line that connects the main Bergen line at Myrtle to the village of Flam, at the head of the Sognefjord, descends over 2,800 feet in approximately 12 miles, through tunnels carved directly through the rock. past waterfalls that cascade down the valley walls alongside the track, and across bridges suspended over a gorge of extraordinary depth. The views from the train window during this descent, looking directly down into the fjord far below, with the steep walls of the valley rising on every side, are among the most dramatic available from any train window anywhere in the world. Let's travel to Japan, to a country where the experience of train travel has been elevated to something approaching a cultural art form, and where a particular route offers one of the most beautiful coastal railway experiences in the world. The Sagano Scenic Railway. Japan's relationship with its railways is unlike any other country's, precise to a degree that seems almost impossible to people accustomed to Western rail systems, comprehensive enough that almost every part of the country is accessible by train, and culturally central in a way that goes far beyond mere transportation. And among the hundreds of extraordinary rail experiences Japan offers, the Sagano Scenic Railway, a short but extraordinarily beautiful route running through the Hozu River gorge outside Kyoto, is one of the most celebrated. The Sagano Scenic Railway runs for approximately 7.5 kilometers along the Hozu River between Saga Arashiyama and Kamiaka, traveling through a gorge of extraordinary beauty, where the river runs fast and clear over smooth boulders below the track. The gorge walls rise steeply on both sides, draped in maple and cedar forest, and the combination of rock and water and forest and sky creates a visual experience of such compressed beauty that most passengers find themselves simply watching in silence, without the need for explanation or narration. In autumn, when the maple forest turns vivid red and orange, the Sagano Gorge becomes one of the most photographed landscapes in Japan. The colors of the trees reflected in the water below, the entire gorge transformed into a corridor of extraordinary autumn color. From Japan, let's travel to one of the most remote and most extraordinary rail journeys in the world, a route that crosses an entire continent and takes almost a week to complete. The Trans-Siberian Railway. The Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway in the world, stretching nearly 10,000 kilometers from Moscow in the west to Vladivostok on the Pacific coast, and completing the full journey takes approximately 6 days and 7 nights of continuous travel. It passes through 8 time zones. It crosses the Ural Mountains, the boundary between Europe and Asia. It runs for hundreds of miles, alongside the shores of Lake Baikal, the world's deepest lake, containing approximately 20% of the world's unfrozen surface fresh water, with a combination of the lake's extraordinary size and clarity and the Siberian forest stretching away from its shores creates a landscape of genuinely overwhelming scale. The Trans-Siberian is not a luxury experience in the conventional sense, though private compartments and various service levels are available, and the appeal of it lies not in comfort but in the sheer, almost incomprehensible scale of the journey. The feeling of watching the landscape change across an entire continent, of waking up to find that the forest visible from the window has been replaced by steppe, and the steppe has been replaced by mountains, and the mountains have been replaced by a different kind of forest, entirely, completely, as far as the eye can see in every direction, is one that cannot be replicated by any other form of travel. The Trans-Siberian is, in the most literal and physical sense, a journey through the size of the world. And finally, let's travel to South Africa, to a train that has been called the most luxurious railway experience in the world, and that passes through landscapes of extraordinary variety, between two of Africa's most iconic cities. The Blue Train. The Blue Train runs between Pretoria in the north and Cape Town in the south, a journey of approximately 27 hours through landscapes that change with extraordinary frequency and drama as the train moves south. The Crew. The vast, semi-arid plateau of the South African interior stretches in every direction for hours, its dramatic rock formations and extraordinary skies, creating a landscape of powerful and austere beauty. As the train approaches Cape Town, the landscape changes entirely. The dramatic mountains of the Cape emerge, the vineyards of the wine country appear in the valleys, and eventually the train pulls into Cape Town with Table Mountain visible above the city in a spectacular arrival. The train itself is extraordinary. Private suites with full en-suite bathrooms, meals prepared with local ingredients served in formal dining carriages, and a level of service and attention to detail that makes the 27-hour journey feel not like a means to an end, but like an experience in its own right. The Blue Train has been operating for decades, and it carries within its history a sense of occasion and ceremony that is becoming increasingly rare in modern travel. To ride it is to experience a form of travel that belongs to a different era, one where the journey itself was considered as important as the destination. These train journeys, the Glacier Express in Switzerland, the Andean Explorer in Peru, the Bergen line in Norway, the Sagano Scenic Railway in Japan, the Trans-Siberian in Russia, and the Blue Train in South Africa, are 6 of the most extraordinary ways to see the world from a train window. Each one passes through landscapes that cannot be fully appreciated from any other position. Each one offers a particular quality of attention and presence that the speed and disconnection of modern air travel cannot provide. And each one reminds you, somewhere along the route, of the simple pleasure that gave rise to all train travel in the first place. The pleasure of watching the world go by, at exactly the right speed, through a very large window.